It was on this day, 30 years ago, is the sinking of the MS Estonia. The ship's sinking, which occurred on September 28th in 1994, is one of the worst peacetime maritime disasters and the deadliest peacetime sinkings of a European ship since the sinkings of the RMS Titanic in 1912 and the Empress of Ireland in 1914, claiming 852 lives. The sinking was caused by a poorly designed ship, faulty bow visor, and poor cargo distribution. The MS Estonia departed from Tallinn slightly behind schedule and was expected to arrive at Stockholm, Sweden. She was only carrying 989 passengers, carrying most Swedish and Estonian passengers, also more different nationalities, while the crew were predominantly Estonian. She would never reach her destination. In 1979, the Estonia was built in Wire Wharf Shipyard in Papenburg, Germany by a Norwegian shipping company with intended traffic between Norway and Germany. At the last moment, the company withdrew their order and the contract went to Rederi Abseli, one of the partners for the Viking Line, to which still exists today. Estonia's yard number was 590 and the keel was laid down on October 18th of 1979, and less than a year, on the 26th of April 1980, Estonia, at this time frame she was named the Viking Seli, was launched and completed a day later. She would be claimed by the Viking Line along with 3 other ships. The construction of the bow consists of an upwards opening visor and a car ramp that was placed inside the visor when it was closed. And Estonia's construction allows this ship to ride the waves rather than cut through like a traditional ocean liner. The Estonia is a roll-on, roll-off ship, or ro-ro for short. It's a type of freight or ferry vessel that is designed to transport vehicles such as cars, trucks, trailers, and all-wheeled cargo. The Viking Seli was delivered to Rederi Abseli, Finland, and put into service between Turku, Mariehamn, and Stockholm. The Estonia wouldn't have a clean slate when it comes to incidents. In May of 1984, Viking Seli was grounded in the Alien Archipelago and had propeller issues in 1985, thus rebuilding the ship with a ducktail. A year later, in 1986, a passenger by the name of Reijo Hamar killed businessman Anani Elijala, and I apologize if I butchered that last name, and rode from Turkey, Finland to Stockholm, Sweden, by stabbing Elijala 5 times and strangling him with the cabin's bedsheet. He was found guilty of attempted manslaughter in 2011 after being pardoned in 2004. 1 year later, in 1987, 2 tourist passengers were attacked and 1 was murdered. Klaus Scheckley and Bettina taxis were attacked by an unknown assailant and found by 3 Danish Boy Scouts at 3:45 a.m. Klaus Scheckley died while Bettina taxi survived. A suspect was arrested in 2019, but all info are unknown and all charges were acquitted in June 2021 due to investigative errors. In 1987, Ifoa and Johnson Line bought Viking Seli, thus forcing SF Line and Rederi Abseli to withdraw Viking Seli from Viking Line. Then on April 1990, Viking Seli was painted in Silja Line's colors and renamed to the Silja Star and placed on the same line as she did when she was with the Viking Line. Also in that same year, Ifoa, Johnson Line, and Rederi Abseli merged into F-John. The following spring, Silja Star began with Wasa Line, a company owned by F-John, and the name is changed to Wasa King, and served routes connecting Vasa, Finland to Umina and Sundsvall, Sweden. The Wasa King became the Estonia. In January of 1993, Wasa King was sold to Nordstrom in Tallinn and renamed to the Estonia. She would be used on her S-Line route between Tallinn, Estonia, and Stockholm, Sweden. Wasa King's bio name change would be the Estonia, registered to both Cyprus and Estonia, and the largest Estonian-owned ship. On September 27, 1994, Estonia departed from Tallinn slightly behind schedule at 7:15 p.m. She was expected to arrive at Stockholm, Sweden, as she was carrying 989 passengers and crew. Carrying most Swedish and Estonian passengers, also more different nationalities were sprinkled in along with the crew who were prominently Estonian. The weather in the Baltic Sea is rough. Winds of 45 miles per hour, waves up 20 feet tall, rain, and temperatures around 50 degrees, which is very normal for autumn storms. As the ship was traveling around 16 to 17 knots and has a list of starboard due to poor cargo distribution, all that changed on September 28, 1994, as a loud bang was heard throughout the ship. It was assumed to be a wave hitting the bow visor of the cargo hold. The bow visor separated from the vessel, thus pulling the ramp ajar, and sea water began to flood into the car hold, thus causing the list to get much worse, and trying to turn to counteract it made it much worse. Water would leak down stairwells and through the ceiling tiles into cabins. At 1:20 a.m., a general alarm was sounded throughout the ship's public address system, sounding a "Alarm, alarm, there is alarm on the ship," signaling a serious problem. A few minutes later, a mayday call was given out, but Estonia didn't follow the international format to a nearby Sicilia Europa. As this confusion delayed the rescue, but Estonia could not send out their coordinates in time due to the first loss of power. Then a few minutes later, the power returned and the Estonia transmitted their final message, translated from Estonian to English: "Really bad, is looking really bad right now." By 1:30 a.m., the ship listed 60 degrees starboard, thus trapping passengers below decks in the flooded areas of the ship. Then at 1:50 a.m., Estonia disappeared from radar screens of other vessels, sinking stern first after taking a list of 90 degrees in international waters of the Baltic Sea, 22 miles on the bearing of Uto Island in Finland, taken by survivor accounts. Of the 989 passengers and crew that were on board, only 138 were rescued, 34 by ship and 104 by helicopters by nearby ferries of Marella, Swedish and Finnish rescue helicopters, Finnish border guard helicopters, and MS Isabella. One died later in a hospital. Now comes the controversy of the sinking and the conspiracy theories. In 2020, a Swedish filming crew director named Henrik Everson and analyst Linus Andersson illegally dived down into the wreck of the MS Estonia using ROVs, discovered a 42-foot gash protruding inward with sharp metal edges inside, thus suggesting a collision. There was a possibility of a small white submarine that would have been seen during the sinking. However, witnesses testified that there was no such thing as a submarine. Conspiracy theories theorized this could have been a submarine from the now dissolved USSR due to the recent freedom of Estonia from the USSR's grasp and the possibility of the Estonia carrying military equipment. Judging by the size of the hull, this could have been the possibility of a military sub. But since we're actually not about conspiracy theories, we're kind of straying into that territory and we're going to get out of it. Today, the Estonia lies on her side, protected by the Estonia Agreement of 1995, a treaty among 8 different countries of Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Poland, Denmark, Russia, and the United Kingdom, declaring sanctuary over the site, prohibiting citizens of their nations from diving to the wreck. To this day, the wreck's location is monitored on radar by the Finnish Navy. In July of 2023, the bow visor was pulled up and later taken to the Musko military base. We at HistoryInsideANutShell would like to take the time to honor those who died on the Estonia on that fateful morning of September 28, 1994. May they rest in peace, and may we never forget this awful tragedy.